Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you another feature match. This feature match is going to be coming all the way from Block E, and we're going to see a battle of beauties, as in the top corner, being piloted by Wings, a newcomer to the tournament. We've got Sagara Aksaya taking to the field, hoping to prove the goddess that she is and dominate the battle. But it won't be easy, because down in the bottom corner, bearing the Cyberoid Diva Artisaria herself, is a returner to this Deluxe tournament, Sylphie. This is quite an ironic matchup here, as the Seal in the previous Deluxe tournament actually brought Sagara over all the way to Stage 2, and now, in order to make it back to Stage 2, he's going to have to take out the deck that helped him reach there in the first round. This is quite an interesting twist of fate here. Let's see how that pans out. Both of these fighters have proven their mettle so far in the tournament, being capable of pulling off some really excellent combo plays and showing good mastery of their respective decks. Sylphie even going so far as to defeat Zorga live on stream in round 1 of Stage 1. So this ought to be a fight to remember. With all that said, let's begin it, fighters. Stand up, Vanguard! Alright, having won the die roll, Sagara takes the first turn here. This matchup is quite interesting, as the ability of Artisaria to lock has always been a pivotal part of that card, being able to stop front row attackers and potentially multiple attacks all the while there. And Sagara having front row restanders can fall prey into this, but still hosts some really strong counterplay. Good control options, a very powerful Vanguard, so this matchup has layers beyond layers to it. Now we're going to be discarding the Steel Blade Shield in order to ride into our Grade 1 Namarkar Soul Blasting 1 in order to search out for either the Sword Diaba or Bodoban the Shield. I would imagine, given that the shield has been discarded, that he's going to go for Diaba in this case, and there it is being confirmed, going for the deck and straight into the hand. A very excellent ride line start here. Alright, passing on over to the Seal here, they're going to be taking their first move. Artisaria can definitely take advantage of going second in a couple different ways. Not only is the trademark ability to lock immediately online, as Megalomania has a grade 3 restriction to it, but furthermore, the excess energy at play is quite handy in this case, is you can use energy for a variety of sources, whether that be Artisaria's main skill, of course, EB7 to draw, the skill of Lumina Well, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of power behind that. It looks like we're going to be adding Megalomania immediately from the deck to the hand. They're immediately brandishing, yes, we will be locking Sagara at some stage in this game, a very intimidating card. And discarding the Shout and Shadow all the while shows that the options are already there. Both these fighters discarding key order cards and mirroring each other in the process. Looks like we're going to keep it light for the battle phase here. Oh, okay, so attacking Frey, but is immediately no pass using Arona. Drive checking into another Shout and Shadow. Okay, so we're quickly accumulating all the orders that we'll need for the stint of this game here. It's going to be a bit of a curiosity to see what kind of order ratio we have going on with Artisaria. In the past game, there was a lot of Shout and Shadow, not many Megalomania, because the counterplay. Oh, hold the phone there. We just got a very interesting discard from Sagara. We're discarding Ars Irina, so it appears we're going to be going for the Overdress variant of Sagara. With the skill of Ars Irina, when discarded from the hand, he's able to search the deck and discard any talisman traded unit from among them. This can include the likes of Trick Moon or Trickstar and Wendy, as we see there. There's a lot of options, so we're definitely going to be going for more of a combo-centric version of Sagara. I wonder if Seal was training for this variant or not. Now, from that discard, we also get to ride into the Halabadra Balat, a skill that won't activate until we get to the Grade 3. Now, let's see if Wings are just going to expand his battle phase any further. Nope, he's only swinging for 10. This is very smart on Wings' part, because one common counterplay, should Sagara commit to the board, is that Sagara can be denied Counterblast. But by leaving the field empty, there's no alternative attack targets. Now, will Seal take this attack, I wonder? The early games here can be surprisingly important, depending on how it's going. Oh, okay, so we're going to be guarding with a Snowskip Halvey to say a no pass as well. So neither fighter is very eager to take damage. Okay, there's no trigger on that as well. So very key combo pieces being seen here. A pretty milquetoast early game, but we still get to see the Seal as he goes to turn 2. Maybe he'll kick it up a notch. We're going to find out. Now he stands and draws, presumably going to be discarding another order, I imagine, as that's generally the ideal discard fodder for this deck. Discarding Shout and Shadow, so Megalomania remains in the hand as of now. Now we're going to be riding into Witching Vibrato, the grade 2, and getting another order. Now, one interesting thing about Artisaria is because it could draw after you place an order from the hand, there is a dedicated benefit to initially ripping the excess copies from the hand and then later on using the ones from the drop zone because you're digging further. So by keeping Megalomania in the hand, there is an implication that he may go for locks in the early game and then Shadow and Shadow in the later game, but who knows what his plan is here. So adding another Megalomania means that 2 of each are now out in circulation. This is the moment of consideration. Okay, we're going to be calling Attrition to the field. Now, Attrition's skill looks at the top 7 cards of the deck for one of the sound system orders to discard it. Now, especially at this stage in the game, it's not very likely to go off here, but it is always nice just to be able to reset the RNG and check just in case. They shuffle the deck, so that confirms that they did not see anything off the top 7, and we're going to be going in for the battle. Alright, taking no damage on that, discarding the Vilord. Power move there. Vilord being an Overdress unit has a lot of synergy with the Overdress supporting pieces that we got for the Java packages, so that's pretty strong. Okay, drive checking into Persona Ride. Very strong card here. Persona Ride really ups the tempo of Artisaria, pun not intended there. Okay, now after that 1 damage, we're going to be moving on to Basagada's turn 3, where the goddess herself will finally descend onto the stage of Deluxe. Discarding another Trickstar and Swinning from the hand in order to ride the one and only Chote no Hoenn, Basagada Akasaya. Okay. Basagada Akasaya is one of the most powerful units in this tournament, despite the various nerfs that she's received, and also being a few sets old by this stage. Now Halibaja Balat is going to counterblast the Owlpour in order to search for up to 2 arms cards to discard them, then arm Basagada from the drop zone. Generally speaking, this is where Bodovan gets discarded and then equipped, but we can also just arm her with the one in the drop zone. It comes down to what he wants to discard here. He's got 1 of each already, so he's got his 2 basic fundamentals. The hammer is always a good card to discard, but there's no back row, so it's not that useful. Then again, it's still useful in the sense that Diava has a grade 3 restriction to get the drive, so Hammer giving power and the ability to recur back Diava might be a more valuable right arms card when going first. This is typically what most Basagada players will pivot towards. Alright, so we're discarding a sword and a hammer here. Now we're going to see what he does after discarding what he's going to arm here. Steel has accumulated a fair bit of advantage by this stage of the game. Not using any excess energy, not really hard committing anything aside from the 1 grade 2, so he's playing it nice and carefully. One nice benefit of calling the Eris here is because of Basagada's skill to retire front row, you can retire up to 2 units, but if you retire no units, then you draw a card. The thing is that she has to wipe out the front row. So typically when fighting against Basagada, leaving exactly 1 rear guard in the front row is the best way to min-max that particular effect, denying them the draw, but also not losing 2 units in the process. So Seal played it very expertly there. Alright, Basagada is going to utilize her own skill, placing the Yava from the hand into the soul in order to arm herself from the drop zone. This is where a lot of cascading benefits start to manifest itself as you get combos going from the arm into the revive into on-play skills, so on and so forth. One thing interesting here is that in the drop zone right now, we don't see any Trick Moons, so we won't be able to revive Trick Moon to counter charge that 1 counter blasted card. So maybe we're trying to go for some more of the aggressive crossover dress kind of stuff, not crossover dress, but aggressive overdress kind of stuff, maybe. So Hammer activates, giving 10,000 power to Basagada, but there's no back rows to snipe, so that's where that effect ends there. Still a good choice to go for Hammer in this case. Okay, now Basagada is going to utilize her secondary skill here, and Soul Blasting. Will she be Soul Blasting? No, she'll be reviving first. So on the arm, she's going to call the Trickstar and Swinny to front row rear guard. Okay. This also energy charges 1, which conveniently puts her up to 7, so there is a potential for Wings to get a draw off of that, which he will, looks like. Alright, very prudent choice there. Okay. Now with all of his cards basically being accumulated, let's see how his turn manifests. Ooh, Garo Virina cross Overdress. Now that is a very avant-garde choice in this case. Okay, Garo Virina, 20k beater that also has a battle door tied to it. A fairly annoying attack on a grade 2 base here, so this might put in some work. Alright, now Basagada is going to proc the retire skill, getting a critical and dismissing Ellis to the drop zone, but no draws here, so Still looking decent for Bafsagada. Nice control, able to stabilize really quickly here. She's looking pretty good. And one thing to note about Trickstar and Suendi as well is when you read it, right? Trickstar Suendi doesn't care about Java at all for any of your effects. So you can even get the defensive skill from Trickstar, like even on Bafsagada. So it's perfectly synergistic with her. Okay, now Bafsagada is going to come careening in for 23,000 with a critical on the Vanguard. Some lethal, not lethal damage here, but pretty deadly damage if you get a lot of criticals on it. But taking no chances and going for a PG here. Alright, now the drive checks are coming on down. First is a Twin Cast Protect, awesome defensive unit. Second check is a Bodavon, a bit of a brick, but what can you do in this scenario? After all, you can just discard it next turn, so for now it's not going to do too much. Alright, now let's see what Wings does here. Wings is going to attack with Garov Arena, going on the offensive and allowing Seal to gain a counterblast. Alright, a very bold choice in this case. Seal damage checking critical, which has no bearing in this game state, but still damage is very good for him, because now he'll be able to use Artisari's on attack skill. Alright, that ends Bafsagada. A very light work kind of turn here, but it may build into something more severe as the turns progress. Now, we're going to be discarding Lucille in order to ride into Atasaria, the diva herself. Now, that is a Persona Shield cycler, so he'll now be able to Soul Blast one in order to get that Persona Shield while riding into Artisaria. Very good stuff here. Alright. So one thing that's interesting about this game state is it appears that Wings has left himself open to the lock mechanic, as Garov Arena doesn't come with any protections, and Trickstar and Suendi has a protection that deals with binding and putting to deck, but doesn't say anything about lock. So if Seal wants to go for it, he could severely cripple the clapback turn from Wings' here, but it's all up to him. Okay. Energy up to 9, Artisaria on board, immediately starting with Artisaria's skill. Energy blasting 2. And yep, going for Megalomania, Rocket. And now the field is starting to go back into Seal's control here. One thing that's also strange on the part of Wings is Wings didn't drop the hammer here, so because Surya wasn't dropped, he wasn't able to recur back Diava, which Diava is lying in the drop zone, so a bit of an odd decision here. I'm not quite sure why he did that per se, but you know, it is as it is. He may have a plan. Alright, now another Ellis is coming to the field, so it didn't take long for her to make an encore performance. Looking at the top 7 cards of the deck, likely a whiff, but who knows. Well, hold the phone there. We actually did see a Shout in Darkness there. So, Shout in Shadow means that we've got 3 Shouts and 2 Megalomanias. So, we're seeing more or less the normal ratios thus far. Nothing too exciting there, but it is still nice to be able to actually hit off with that. A bit of a high roll, might I say, but we live for those kind of things here, because even without many orders left on deck, it's good to see it when you see it. Okay, Energy Blasting 2, this is what I was talking about before, about having the benefit of excess energy to work with, calling a Shadow Army to the back row. Alright, now let's see what we've got in store. So we're going to begin with Ellis, it looks like, attacking for 25 on Bafsagada, the only live target. Eris has a really nice effect where when she's retired during battle phase, you can call a Shadow Army token to the back row. So there's a good opportunity here to be able to bolster the Lumina Well column. Okay, looks like we're going to be guarding for 15 here, so not wanting to take damage erroneously, it looks like. Artisari comes in next, being able to proc her skill to counterblast one and call a Shadow Army token, particularly going over Ellis. Now, where does the back row Shadow Army go here, though? This is a debate. Okay, so it is going to substantially Lumina Well call. Alright, now afterwards this is going to be for 13 on the Vanguard. A very easy to guard attack. But what will he do here? Bodavon is going to activate at this timing. Soul Blasting 1 for 20k shield, 2 Bafsagada for the battle. So that's already a 2 to pass. Is he willing to give a little bit more to ensure the guard doesn't break, or is this all he's willing to give? Alright, looks like he was going to stick on that 2 to pass. So, check 1, no trigger, check 2, no trigger. Ooh, but some really nice rear guards there, which is good because we have to remember that Bafsagada has control elements in the deck, so he's not going to be able to keep a lot of this field when the turn passes. That's good stuff. Alright, now attacking on the Vanguard again, this time only for 15, and oddly, this is the one that he takes. Ooh, okay, so draw trigger is good for him, but it is almost disappointing that he didn't take the initial swing in order to try and reap the benefits of the defensive, but what can you do in this case? There wasn't much else for him here. Okay, now finally attacking for 25 on the Vanguard. Only a 5k guard, but how much damage is he looking to get on this turn? Bit of consideration from Wings here, looks like. Okay, Wings is going to proc the Twin Cast Protect here, being a 10k shield, which is enough to guard this attack. Really nice timing for that, because that means that he still has access to other Blitz Order plays later in subsequent turns, such as a Threatening Roar. Defensing Roar, I should clarify. So, good move there. Okay, now Boss Sakura goes into turn 4, and looks like we did see Persona Ride getting another draw on 10,000 in the front row, as is tradition. This is where we have to wonder what Boss Sakura is going to do for a clapback. Only one CB is live, and there is a locked front row. So that means that if we stop Yugioh, we can get 3 attacks here still. But it is going to be not that intimidating. But likewise, Seal doesn't have that big of a hand, so attacks might make it through. Heck, without much damage, it's probably preferable that it makes it through. Unfortunately for Luminoel, it is in the front row, wasn't able to bounce back from an effect, so she is going to succumb to the front row field wipe most likely. Very sad part, but hey, what can you do? Seal needed to make the aggression, right? Okay. So energy charging up to 3, and looks like we're going to begin with one of Boss Sakura's skills here. Boss Sakura is going to put Bodovon from hand. So we didn't see the Yugioh, otherwise it would have been a perfect discard target off of Yugs for Energy Blast 3. So we're going to put that there in order to arm Boss Sakura. It looks like we're just going to swap out for a Diava here. This can cascade into Revive, Energy Charge, all that good stuff. What's also nice about doing it this way is that now the Soul Blast 2 can put Bodovon into the drop zone afterwards, and you want Arms cards to not be stuck in your soul as much as you can help it. So that is definitely a good sequencing there. 5,000 power to the front row in addition to the 10,000 Persona means plus 15. So getting some pretty good value here. It is a little unfortunate that Vylord is unable to like get use here because we still haven't seen Trick Moon. If we had seen Trick Moon, this would have been better, but oddly enough, he did have a choice in the beginning to try and discard Trick Moon because it is a talisman type, so Ars Irina might have been able to get that for him, but he opted for the Trickstar and Swindy, so let's see how that choice kind of cascades, consequentially speaking. Okay, now, energy charging 1 and calling from the drop zone. What do we got? Looks like Trickstar and Swindy's coming back here again. Definitely not surprised there. Probably going to go into another Overdress or Cross Overdress unit, but what's it going to be this time? There's a few options here that could really work out well in this case. Boss Sakura is fairly synergistic with all the card pulls I mentioned before. Oh, is there an arm going on here? What's happening? Tavashtir is coming on down. Now that is interesting. So Tavashtir is being hard played for turn. Tavashtir doesn't have a cost for being played and comes with Battle Door. In addition, at the end of the turn, Tavashtir can counterblast 1 and dismiss itself in order to rearm Boss Sakura with the left DD arm. This works well with Bodovon because the draw on Bodovon can activate from this. So we got Battle Door, end phase draw, a bunch of good stuff here. Garo of Irina again. Wow, I did not expect to see that a second time. Okay, so Garo of Irina could be fairly annoying. Between the Battle Door on both of these units, it seems that we're going to be aiming for more of like an attrition hit here, trying to demand a lot of value from Seal's hand in order to stop these attacks. However, Seal doesn't have a lot of damage, so Seal might simply just take this Boss Sakura swing, says, I don't submit to this, just try and hit crits if you can. There's a line there, but it may not be what he wants to go for, because crit is crit. It's very persuasive. Okay, so now Diava's going to come in. This means that Boss Sakura is attacking for 28,000, 2 critical, 3 drives, and 2 or more to guard from the hand. So a lot of stipulations here. Very hefty swing. Alright, Seal's moment to respond. A no Gardo has been declared, so let's see what we got. Critical trigger comes on down right away. Okay, Boss Sakura is already heating up big time. And technically speaking, there is a line where these are all criticals this would kill, but it's not likely. Second eject is Tavashtir. Okay, so Seal is likely safe for the turn. Ooh, but a heal trigger. Now that is perfect for Wings in this case, having to take it very slow to deal with the lock effect. Okay, that means that Garo of Irina will be charging in for a total of 55,000, and Wings is back down to 1. Oh, but Seal claps back with a defensive of his own, hitting a front trigger here. Let's see what the second check provides. If this could be like a heal trigger or something, that would really toss things back. Oh, no heal trigger there. Luminal Well being lost is kind of sad, but... And then third check, oh, nope, nothing there either. Okay, so still have to deal with a pretty hefty swing here. That means that we're going to be asking for 35 shield on this, which actually is a pretty decent 2-card guard. And thankfully for Seal, Blitz orders don't count as cards from hand, so there is avoidance to that. Let's see here. So 55 being swung on the Vanguard. Persona Shield is proc right away. What else are we going to do? Oh, Oh, shoot. Okay, Steel Knock is a really good one here. So Steel Knock gets all of its effects activated because it's being attacked by a rear guard while Steel took damage this turn, 30,000 shield. That plus Persona Shield ticket is 40,000, putting Arsaria up to 63,000 and says no passe there. Very good guard on Seal's part. Very nicely done. Okay, Diava at the end of the turn has to dismiss itself. Now let's see if he's willing to pay the cost for posture. He is. C being 1, arming Bodovon, getting a draw. All right. This is looking really good for Bob Saga here. It was kind of sad to see the units succumb to lock, but he managed to make the most out of it, and the drive checks are very fortuitous from the Diava there, so things are definitely in flux at the moment. Speaking of, the unit locked is now unlocked as he's able to get his draw from Bodovon. So, now the turn passes over. What can Arsaria do for a clapback? We know Persona Ride is there, and that's a huge step forward, but it may come down to just how strong the pieces Seal's been able to acquire it is, and if the drive checks can also be as fortuitous as what Boss Saga saw. Let's find out. Okay. Singularity, okay, adding some extra flavor to the Persona Ride counter, very nice. Now, Megalomania can be utilized from the hand once again, but is this the play here? Because we could also get draws and value from the Shout and Shadow. There's a debate. Nope, Megalomania it is. Likely going to be taking out the one that has the Trickstar and Swendy. So that's a total cumulative of 15,000 shield that is now off the table for Wings. So not a bad play there. It seems that the Menace of Lock is going to stick around for another bit here. He's got to hang in there. Okay, now Seal has 5 cards left in the hand to make a board with, and we know that we have a couple of strong units here. We have the C-Seal, which is the dedicated booster for Arsaria, getting a draw here off of CB, and then we can also call the Ace unit. Now, plenty of energy to roll around. Ace unit is a good way to utilize it in this deck. Now let's see what they can call here. So Ace unit's skill now activates. So now it's able to draw a card, and they can choose a rear guard, and it bounces back to the hand. Now, one thing that's nice about that is that it means they'll be able to protect the booster, because this is prime hammer target. Hammer time would come down so hard on a high value back row rear guard like that. So really good synergies between these two units. Good stuff. Where does he go from here, though? He's got 1 space left open on the board. Oh, okay, so we're going to get another Persona Shield ticket here. Always nice. There's plenty of soul to go around, so this is definitely a good way to utilize it. What's also nice about this is that off the skill of CCL, we have the ability to give a bounce ability when retired during battle phase over to the Persona Shield ticket enabler. So there's going to be like multiple cascading bounces between these units. It's really nice turn. Good way to avoid the detrimental effects of the control. Okay, Seal goes into battle. We're starting off light for 25 on the Vanguard. Okay, and Wings says no Gardo, so he's going to take his chances. Oh, another draw trigger is checked here. That is not good for Seal. Ooh, okay. Boss Lagarde's hand seems to only be increasing here, so he's got a lot to cleave through at this point. Okay. But it seems like he's going to prep up for an attack with the Ace unit now, which can still hit over because of the extra 10,000 power. So that can now be 35 on the Vanguard. Is Wings going to continue taking damage here? Nope. Okay, he guards with 15, min-maxing stuff, which is kind of nice. Now, one of the dangers at this stage of the game is that Artisaria is going to be quite hefty. Getting a critical, as there's 2 sound system orders here, and the 15k from the back row, 10k to the front row, and then another 5k to the front row from Artisaria's skill, means Artisaria is coming for 43,000 with the critical. That is fairly threatening even against a unit that's 23k base right now. Okay. Now what we got here? It looks like this is where all the skills have resolved successfully, so we're gonna see what happens guard-wise. Is he gonna take the risk here? Nope. Okay, so we're gonna go for a nice perfect guard, stopping the attack hold. Good stuff from Wings. All right, twin drive here is very important. He might need to see some heals here just to try and get back in the game. Critical is good for pressure. Critical is definitely good. Let's see what the second check is though after he starts applying critical. Second check here. Okay, no trigger, just a Dainty. Dainty is still pretty nice for resources, but not exactly what you want to see at this stage, but maybe it's not that bad. Okay, it all depends on how defensible the hand is. All right, so we still got 2 attacks left here. Looks like we're going to begin with the critical damage unit here. Okay, so we're going to play a little game of chicken with Wings. Let's see if he'll bite. He won't bite. Okay, guarding with the over trigger going to 73,000. Okay, Wings is playing a very conservative game plan here, min-maxing damage as much as possible, trying to demand as a lot of cards as he can from the Artisaria side of the field here, and it is working out. He's playing this very well. Despite a couple of questionable choices, such as Tabashir not dismissing itself, he's bouncing back phenomenally. Okay, now it's 45k on the Vanguard. Seal has no choice but to go for face here. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Bodovon's going to proc at this time, and it's also going to be paired up with that. So by putting those two together, not using Soul Blast on Bodovon, that's 48k total, so it guards the attack. All right. Good stuff here. Bounce back at end of turn means that Seal's got nothing but basically duds in the form of Shadow Army tokens for Wings to get rid of. Good plays here. Okay, that was a lot of hand out of Boss Sagara, but Boss Sagara also doesn't have a lot of damage to work with, so we're in a little bit of a nebulous space here. Do we see Persona right to maintain aggression? That hesitation makes me think that that's not the case. Okay, so Seal may have caught a breather here. One of the issues for Boss Sagara at the moment is that there's not too much soul to work with, so if he doesn't find a way to recoup that soon, he's gonna choke out on it, which is an unfortunate byproduct of Boss Sagara being a Soul Blast 2 every turn. Okay, so let's see how this turn plays out. Okay, Boss Sagara is going to proc her first skill to put a card from hand into soul in order to arm herself. So this is good because now this gets to 2 soul, which means the Soul Blast skill is live should you choose to do it. What do we got from the drop zone here? Diava right away, so 5,000 power to the front will make up for the lost Persona right a little bit, and that's an extra drive there, so not bad at all. It sucks for Garov Irina because Garov Irina needs to be in the crossover dress state, right? And to my understanding, I don't think it's in the crossover dress state anymore, but I'm not sure about that actually. I don't think it is though. If it's not, then that is definitely a pretty sad part of having to deal with the lock mechanic. Alright, now the on-arm skill means that we're going to provide back a card, likely Trickstar and Swendi. Energy charging up to 8 also means that we have the ability to EV7 again, which is always nice. Trickstar or Swendi coming down to the field as is tradition. And what are the odds it'd be a third Garov Arena? Something tells me it's not very likely at all, but hey, you know, I've already been proven once this fight, right? Alright, so now we're going to Energy Blast 7 in order to draw a card, so we may be digging for solutions here. Could be digging for other potentials. Oh my god, I am proven wrong. A third Garov Irina, holy crap, the blueprint from Wings is really fascinating. Okay, okay, so this means, once again, only 2 front row attacks. I haven't seen Devashir be put on down yet, unless he's been keeping it on the hand. Okay, so he does use it from the hand here. Okay, so he's running a little low on cards, but he's got a lot of battle doors, so this is very, very annoying. Depending on the composition of Seal's hand, this could be quite devastating. Alright, now Boss Sagara is going to dismiss the front row tokens and go critical, but having to utilize some soul for that that's pretty costly, especially because neither of these cards here are going to be able to recoup soul, so it's a bit dubious. But at the same time, Wings is almost over the hurdle as far as Locked is concerned, so we may be able to see a comeuppance here. Alright, now we're coming in for 18,000, 2 critical and 3 drives. Seal is throwing down an overtrigger, but maybe he doesn't realize about the battle door here, because battle door wasn't declared from Wings, but there is battle door active, so he may take that back. Okay, so it looks like he's reconsidering his options now. So okay, 18,000 though is not that bad, right? Because guarding with 215 will put it at 43, which is a 3 to pass. Very unlikely Wings would be able to break through that at this stage of the game. I've already seen a fair bit of triggers just to get this point, so that would be the optimal guard, but who knows if Seal really has that at their disposal. It likely does because of the hand. Okay, so they're doing a trigger count at this moment, trying to assess what are the likelihoods here. Okay, looks like we're going to go for 2 15s down, so that's a 3 to pass. 3 to pass is a very rock-solid guard. They're very unlikely Wings would ever even try to challenge that. Okay, so looks like we got critical trigger here. Let's see where that's going to go. Yeah, okay, going over the rear guard, so he's not even going to attempt it here. Second check is a heal trigger. Okay, but this is good for Seal because there's no heal there, so that's effectively wasted in this case. It's still power to Garov Irina, which is annoying, at least for him. Third check is Alpor. Okay, so Wings definitely being right not to take that bet. Would have failed. Okay, but this still leaves Garov Irina as a 45k attacker with 2 or more to guard from the hand. It's quite annoying, but the Blitz Order does help out here. The Blitz Order is very nice. Oh, Oh, Elementaria Sanctitude. Nice. Okay, a very solid counter here. Okay, this is only one card guard then. Ah, but we had to dismiss our Dainty, which is a little sad, but hey, you know, I guess, you know, you need sacrifices and more. Okay, Diava has to mandatorily dismiss itself, and then once again, we're going to go for Devash here, counterblasting 1, getting Bodavon, and drawing up to a total of 7 cards in hand. So that means Bafsagada now has double interceptors, one of them being a 15k effectively, and also access to a 7-card hand only on 2 damage. So pretty decently defended, all things considered. If Seal was able to find out the Megalomania by this stage, that gets really bad for the lad here. But so far as I can see, we've only got 3 Shout and Shadows in the drop zone, so it all comes down to what was seen in the hand. All right, now Artisaria is going to utilize skill here. It looks like there's no Persona Ride, so neither of I was able to see it. Shout and Shadow. Okay, so Megalomania is not proc, so Wings can breathe a sigh of relief. He's over the hump for the time being. He can keep his units fully on the field, which means that the clapback on the next turn is potentially devastating. Drawing 1 card and getting a Shadow Army token, though, means that Artisaria is going to have a very easy time reestablishing board. So the goal for Seal here would be to try and get some damage, probably defend for the next turn, and then go for game. Okay, calling down another of our Persona Shield Cycler, very good utilization, but we don't use the effect here declared by Seal, so he's going to save the soul for something else, likely for his grade 1. There it is. Okay, but not going to be counterblasting for the draw, but the Soul Blast is likely online for her. Okay, now looks like we're going to be attacking with support. That's going to be a total of 30 on the Vanguard. 20k shield's pretty annoying, but Bodavon could guard that if he went for it, but not completely because he lacks the soul. Another key detriment of running into the soul choke that Bafsagada sometimes has it. So what's Wings going to do here in this case? He's been fairly fortunate in his damage checks thus far, but it's probably not a great gambit to try and continue to rely on them, especially because his drive checks has also been eating to his trigger count quite a bit. Okay, Twin Cast for the drop zone is going to proc, giving 15k and also intercepting. Okay, really smart decisions there. Very nice. Funnily enough, theoretically speaking, utilizing both Garb Arenas in addition to Trickstar and Swindy could have also clearly blocked that attack, but he might be keeping it for something else. Okay. Now at 15, now this is funny, because he can't just intercept with Garb Arena, because that means Trickstar and Swindy gets wasted, but Trickstar and Swindy's a 10k shield, so it also doesn't get full value, and Bodavon is also a 10k shield, so also no value. Ah, has to use Alpor in this case. Bit unfortunate, because Alpor is more useful when called onto the field as a unit, so that was very cheeky of Seal. Good play there. He definitely knew how to try and hit Wings where it hurts there value-wise. They're both playing the attrition game. Okay, that's going to be 5,000 power to the front row, as we now call a total of 3 Sanmai Shadow Army Token Kode. And because of the skill, he may be able to use the booster to Soul Blast 1 and let the Persona Shield ticket. Yep, going to let her go back to the hand here. So at the end of the turn, we're probably looking at about 8 cards in the hand. 4 damage, 8 cards. Bit scary. He might be able to hold on though. All right, changing what the counter to front row name is. Gotta love Seal and a sense of humor here. Okay, now we're gonna be looking only at a total of 33 on the Vanguard with critical. No Persona Ride bonus, so it's 10k less, but still fairly threatening. Okay, looks like we've got guards coming in here, so he's gonna attempt something. Okay, so that puts to 43 thus far. 43 is a good start here. It's currently 1 to pass. Bodavon is coming on down as well, which will make it a 2 to pass at 53. 53, okay, so he's going to stick on 2 to pass here, so there might be an opening for Seal if he takes it. Okay, no such luck there. No opening on that. Second check is also no trigger. Very much a bummer here. But what can you do? Okay, so Wings has definitely been looking really good in this game state now. There's no way he's going to lose on this turn thanks to damage counts overall. Ah, but now Seal's going to change directions a bit here, going for 35 over on the rear guard there. Not a bad play necessarily. It also limits damage potentially, so let's see where this goes. 35 is quite annoying because it's going to demand a lot of shield to try and get that back. No such luck though. One of the things about Bafsagada is that even though it is fairly synergistic with the Overdress engine, it doesn't have some of the tools that Java has to just en masse spam these crossover dresses to the field, so that does legitimately stall out a little bit of Bafsagada's clapback. Ooh, damage checking the Persona is really annoying here because what are the chances he'll be able to get the Soul Blast 2 back in time? Oh, that is a little tough. That is tough. Okay. Okay. Now we're going back over to Bafsagada's turn here. Now, one unfortunate thing that happened to Seal is a bit of a CB choke at the moment, so unless they saw their counter charger, this might mess them up in the following turn, depending on how Wings plays this. So Wings draws, goes up to 5 cards in hand. He's only sitting at 3 damage. He's got a lot to chill with here. No Persona Ride again, but he will be calling the Outpour. He's got the energy to utilize this. So he can Energy Blast 7 and look at the top 7 cards of the deck and choose either a Talisman or a Nirvana and put it in the hand. Obviously no Nirvana is going to be in that top 7, but we could see something like a Trick Moon here. Trick Moon could give access to Vylord, which is nice if he sees it. What are we going to reveal here? He shuffles the deck, so didn't see anything. Oh, bad whiff here. Yeah, that is unfortunate, but he just has to deal with it. This game state's so back and forth. Just when you think one player seizes the momentum completely, there's some sort of obstacle in their way that stops them from completely steamrolling the scenario. Okay, Boss Saga is going to utilize her skill now to put a card from hand to soul. Having to use up a critical trigger there is very sad. Don't want to use up that shield value so errantly, but what can you do? Now we're going to be getting a card from the drop zone here. Likely Diava as is tradition. Yep, there's Diava. 5,000 back to the front row to help out, and the 3 drives is always menacing. Now, one thing that I do not believe that we've seen from Wings, let me check myself just in case I'm wrong about this here. Nope, okay, so I'm wrong. He did actually see the OT earlier. So both players have confirmed their OTs are out, so we're not going to get that into this, which OT only gives 10,000 power because of the custom OT, so it's not going to be as devastating regardless, but it also means that their options are a little more limited. And, okay, Trickstar and Wendy. Oh, Ars Irina from the hand. Okay, so finally we go into a different trick here. So Ars Irina is nice because it could get a huge beater because he just gets everything from the drop zone as original dress, and it seems that Wings is just taking this about as like simplistically as he can, just saying here's the number, they're just going to go in the drop potentially anyway, so it's like what's the point? Okay, let's see. So he's going to go for 18k with 3 drive, but there's no extra criticals, so there is a chance Seal might chance this. It's a little tough. Tavashir isn't here as well. Okay, so he's going to guard with the OT now. Tavashir means that there wouldn't be any chancing it. 3 drive now. Let's see if we're going to reinforce that rear guard. Huge beater, but no critical yet. First check. Second check. Okay, so whiffs. Third check is a whiff as well. Ooh, okay. So good options for next turn, but very little shield value now. And there's going to be no kill here from Ars Irina, it looks like. That is unfortunate in this case. Okay, what do we got here? Doesn't stand. He's going to attack the rear guard to damage deny. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Seal didn't chance the Boss Saga because there was a good opportunity to try and take Counterblast there as a clapback. Now, there might be a chance that Wings can still live just by being able to stop the game that much longer. This is a very pitched battle, back and forth. It's hard to say where this is going to go next. Now, Seal does have the ability to Shout and Shadow again. No Sona, but he can still go for Shout and Shadow to try and get another token and a draw, unless he saw Megalomania. Megalomania would be really devastating here at this stage. Okay, calling the Ellis here is really nice. Ellis, there's a fairly compressed deck, so Ellis might be able to see another Megalomania if it's out there in the ether. Let's see here. Is he going to be able to find something? Seal seems very satisfied by that top 7. Oh, he discards the Megalomania. Okay, that is a column shutdown now. No Trickstar and Sewendi guard again, and that also means that there's only one column to work with. Ooh, that's gotta hurt Wings. Man, this is a very hard to predict back and forth battle. Holy crap. If anyone were to place their bets on who would win at the beginning of this game, they ought to be sweating now because it's a pitched back and forth. Okay, now from here, because he went Megalomania and his field is set, it seems like this is likely the time for combat. One nice benefit of the extreme late game is that now, because of 4 Order Zone cards there, it's effectively going to be 10,000 power to the front row, so you've got Persona Ride regardless. So we're starting off light for 25. Wings is going to take to try and fish out for some defenses, instead running into a PG damage check. That's about as painful as the Persona damage check. Next up, we're going to attack for 30 on the Vanguard. Ooh, okay, looks like now we're going to go for just Vanguard here. Let's see. Vanguard doesn't have the ability to CB at all, so we can't get tokens back, but we can still pressure for game here with the critical, and we know that 3 of the cards in that hand are duds, and also shield is out. So what do we got here? Do we got a PG to try and stop this? We got some good shields. This is really scary. This is really scary. No twin cast, no OT guard. We see some PGs dead already, and Bodavon has been used up. Is Wings in a checkmate position here? It may have behooved him, if he can't guard this, it may have behooved him to try and guard the other card, but maybe he couldn't and was hoping for a defensive. It could be over here. Maybe tokens aren't necessary. We're going to find out. Okay, he's considering his options. No 10,000 power to the front row means this is only 28k with a critical. Very scary, but maybe not the scariest. We know that Trick Moon is only 5k shield. There are 2 grade 3 duds there. Swendy isn't there either. Okay, he's starting to guard. Oh, okay, so he lays down the hand there. This is going to be for a total of 48 on 28. If he can't provide any more, that's a 2 to pass. Okay. Can Seal see the cards that he needs to break this? Critical moment here, potentially. The first check? Okay, he's stating keys in a... Okay, that doesn't work out there, but that is actually a really good card in the scenario. That is still a really good card for Seal. Okay, second check is also with, so on the bright side, he doesn't waste a trigger on that. Okay, so this is so intense for them now. Soul has been used up, so Bafsagada is almost certainly not going to be able to get the ability to use the Soul Blast 2 cost. That means that Seal can still establish field. There's a lot there. Bower of Irina can be active though, but Bower of Irina needs to use up a lot of cards. Persona Ride here. Okay, Persona Ride's huge. Now, one thing that's going to be an issue for Wings potentially is deck out. He's only down to 8 cards in the deck now, but he's got a lot of power. This could be his final hurrah to try and change the game state in his favor. So now we're going to go into the main phase here. Let's see what his decision tree leads him to. So, meanwhile, whereas Wings is sitting here with not a lot of resources left to his name, we do have a pretty established field for Sealfie. Sealfie is looking at about 10 cards in hand, give or take, and on top of that, the Seal also has, like, the ability, if he takes a damage easily, he can get back a counterblast. Oh, Cindy's going into the Soul here to recur back a card. Let's see what he's going to recur back in this case. He's got a lot of options at this stage of the game because he's accumulated that drop zone magnificently. Adding back to Voshtir, okay, gonna try and, I guess that makes sense, with OT out, he's gonna try and annoy some guards out here. So, to Voshtir, going back to the hand, this is also another card in Soul, so Bafsagada has the ability to go for the Soul Blast 2 once she arms herself with a right deity arm, so she needs to do that first. We know the hand now. It's 2 to Voshtir along with, it's 1 to Voshtir along with 2 Bower of Irina. Putting one of the Bower of Irinas from hand to the Soul, getting a right deity arms equipped, and then we can go for the Soul Blast 2 from there. Good stuff. Very good stuff. One nice thing for Wings too, sequencing wise, he can Soul Blast 2 to get Cindy in drop zone, then use Tavashir from the hand, which can then proc Bafsagada in order to call back, like, say, the Trick Moon or the Trick Star, whichever one that he wants, and then that could cascade into Cindy calling herself back. The sequencing line is there. This is looking really good for a comeback turn. As a guy who has been a Bafsagada man himself, I've got to say, the display that Wings has been showing here has been pretty darn good. Rootin' tootin' good, might I say. Okay, now we're going to be utilizing the other skill of Bafsagada, Soul Blast 2, meaning that he can wipe out front row. This means Lumina Well has more limited targets on tokens to get rid of, and we can then get a critical. So, now having the ability to use Tavashir, Cascades and Revives, and then because of the Bower of Irina in the hand, this is interesting because I think I see his play here. His play may be to go for a Trick Moon, going to Cindy, and then from Cindy, being able to add back Trickstar and Suwendi. Trickstar and Suwendi calls and then plays the Bower of Irina from the hand. This may be his line unless he's trying to go for something a little differently. Okay, so going here, so obviously we need this in order to go into the cascading chain effect. Let's see. Another option he does have is Vilord at this stage, but Vilord may not be as useful compared to Bower, but Bower also doesn't have the resources to get the drive check, so it'd be more of like a glorified beater. This is tough. This is very tough. Now, one thing for Wings here is that if Wings, depending on how Wings plays it, if Wings doesn't see a critical on these drive checks here, then any front row rear guard wouldn't be able to go for game as well, which would effectively be a wasted attack. Alright, now we're going to be countercharging with Trick Moon as a tradition. Cindy comes to the field off the call of Trick Moon, and of course, Bauer's in the hand. This is where it gets interesting. He's got a couple options. Trick Sergeant Wendy to utilize the Bauer, or try to get Vilord and utilize Vilord's skill from here. Vilord's skill has a couple of benefits. It builds back soul, and it also gets him the ability to rearm with another card. This could be a hammer to try and get rid of a back row. This could be for a Diava to try and get more power to front row, for whatever that's worth. And also Cindy proccing means there's even more soul. Some debates. There's some real debates here. He's in a bit of an odd spot. He's pondering, okay, Cindy procs, this is the very crucial selection in this turn. What he chooses here determines how he plays this out. How do we do this? Okay. Might as well take a quick sip of here while he decides. I gotta take my sips where I can. I'm cutting this part out, by the way, so don't worry. Oh, okay. He adds a card from Drop Zone to hand, and what did he add? Oh, okay, he's declaring Overdress into Vilord. Okay, so he's gonna go for the Vilord play this turn. Vilord has the ability to CB1, putting one arms card into the soul, and the other is going to stay on Bob Sagada as an additional arm. Now, Tavashir here would be redundant, so it comes down to which right DD arm we're gonna go with here. This is very thematic choice from Wings here. Despite the overdresses from the Java side of things being very powerful, at the end of the day, he ultimately decides to leave it into the faithful eyeball of Bob Sagada, Vilord. Now, will Vilord be able to push her to her ultimate goal? Let's find out. Okay, now, Vilord is going to select two arms cards, and what are his selections here? Of course, whatever goes in the soul, not to particularly matter. It doesn't matter too much, but it's the right DD arm. Will it be Hammer? Or will it be Sword again? Whoa, hold up a second. Okay, so Vodavon goes into Soul. Okay, that kind of debated me there for a second. I'm not going to lie. But what about the arm? I'd love to play the Jeopardy music right here. Oh, the tension is palpable. He goes for the Sudia. Okay, 10,000 power goes to Bob Sagada, and he's also going to dismiss a back row unit from this. Likely going to be that booster. Okay, what's good about this for Wings is even though he loses drive pressure, oh, he chooses Shadow Army instead. Okay. So choosing Shadow Army is very interesting. He's trying to make sure that the rear guard columns aren't as strong. Very interesting choice here. That's 10,000 power to Bob Sagada, but the unique benefit I was going to talk about is this means that by taking out one less drive, it's only going to be a twin drive, that decreases the rate at which he decks himself out. That means at the end of the turn, unless he uses Devashir to get a draw off of Vodavon, he's going to be at 6 cards. So either 5 to 6 cards left in deck. That does give him one more turn after this to potentially try to do something. But he's very limited on cards, so there's not much chance to survive the next turn. It all comes down to how he does this. Okay. The twin drive is here. He's laid out the cards. Balvar Arena is just going to be a natty 13k base beater. Now, Overdress boost no skill Hatso. He's going to give 10,000 power to the front row for a whopping 25 to front row. Only 2 attacks, but oh boy do they count. Okay, now Bob Sagada is coming in with support. Devashir is going to battle door that, but he obliges by using Lucille as the additional guard and discarding a CCO from the hand. He probably would have kept that in the hand had Hammer taken it out, but maybe Wings realized that and decided to just take out Shadow Army instead because it's a redundant card. Heal Trigger is nice here, but Even healing down to 3 will not stop the deck out issue. So this will power up our arena, but without a critical to enforce, this may suck for him. Second check here is critical. Pun intended. Ooh, no dice. Not even a shield value card there. A bit nerve-wracking, but Wings still gets to use the skill to posture at the end of the turn, but before that, he's got to just consider whether to attack with Power of Arena or not. Seal's been able to stick at 4 for a while. He may just keep chilling at this, but at the same time, I mean, at some point, he's got to try and gain some traction here in this game state. He ponders. Okay, passing the turn without any critical pressure, he's just going to pass it. Now, end of turn procedures are activating. He's going to use the skill in order to add back a right DD arm. It's going to be the Diava here. And of course, he has the ability to use Devasture. So I actually miscalculated that bit. It'll be 4 cards in hand, but assuming the draw gives him something of shield value, he would only have 2 actionable cards. So this is still not looking good. So assuming he doesn't take damage, he would start the turn drawing for turn going to 4 cards, which is not really that great. But even if he takes 1 damage and triple drive is offline, Artisaria might just win this on the raw attrition and stall plan alone. Okay. Sylphie sounding a bit confident here, saying, want to see me try to go for game a second time? Okay, he stands and draws. Does he see a Persona on this turn? Because that would be hella persuasive in this game state. Now, the good news for Seal is, even though he doesn't see the Persona, it looks like he still has access to a couple of Shout and Shadows in the drop zone. So he can get back a lot of cards on the double. And that's just even more scaling if he ever gets a chance for a CB, which just may be overkill in this case. There's not even any guard of arenas. They're both grade 3 rear guards in the front row. So, you know, they're attackers, they're not defenders. Wings might be in a deck out scenario here. If Wings takes 2 damage on this turn, he's gonna be in a precarious position because he won't be able to attack with a Vanguard. That is going to severely limit his options here. It may be over, but we shouldn't count a fighter out yet until they've revealed the last of their cards. He may have drawn a very pivotal card to stay in this game state. We also can't deny the value of his Bodovon. With no Persona Ride bonus, these are still within Bodovon guardable ranges. Okay. Now Lumina Well is there. Now, because of how this goes, it's very likely he may attack with Artisaria first in order to try and get triggers and beat over Bodovon. Okay, so Seal is debating something here. Oh, okay, so Seal's not going to use Lumina Well effect, instead calling Reverbera to the field. Ah, okay, so Reverbera's skill, be able to put in the soul to choose a rear guard per turn to the hand. If he attacks with Artisaria first, then that leaves a really easy rear guard to go for. He may also go for Lumina Well if he attacks Lumina Well first. So either or works. That's a really nice call here. Reverbera is basically the same basic value as far as cards go. Okay. He's going to be attacking first. Now, there's no seal for Soul, so that means we're not going to be able to give the rebounds effect, but it wouldn't matter because he couldn't call tokens anyway, which is another reason why Reverbera not being attacking first is just, it doesn't matter. Okay, 28k with 2 crit. Bodovon would be a 1 pass here, but there's no way in heck that would be a good enough go. But Bodovon is going to go for an attempt anyway. Now, Soul Blasting 1 in order to go for 20k shield. Guarding with the Rona that we saw from the last turn in hand puts him up to 48, which is a 2 to pass. Okay, a good gambit again. Now, we know that 2 of the cards in his hand are dead, which means he's going to have to probably take at least 1 damage. Okay, where does this go? Because if Seal takes a chance here and this works out, he may just blow this game out of proportion right away. It may be over here. Seal's gonna go for the bet here. He chances it all on Artisaria. Will it work out? Oh, it doesn't work out. Unfortunate, but honestly, still a worthy try, nevertheless. Okay, now what do we got here? At the 11th hour, he's still got 2 attacks to go through, but with 2 cards not being out of shield value, Bob Sagata is going to be in a little bit of trouble here because it's not going to have access to Diava when you account for draw per turn. So it's going to have to go for Hammer. Ooh, he's going to be going with that and not protecting the Lumina Well. Very interesting. Oh, he's taking it back. Okay, he's right as I'm saying that, he's already taking it back. So he's realizing. So he's going Lumina Well first, going for 25 on the Vanguard. If the card drawn was a trigger, he'd be able to guard it. Okay, he doesn't guard it. Unfortunate. PG being damage checked is just the peak of tragedies. Okay, now this is important. If he didn't draw a card that is worth good shield, this is going to put him into deck out range with this Vanguard, and that would be supremely disappointing. Let's see what he's got. This is going to be for 28 on the Vanguard. Taking that damage means Valsagra is now out of the running. It won't be able to attack on the following turn here. Oh, and that Reverbera can bounce back to Lumina well afterwards. Oh, okay. This is looking almost impossible for Wings now. He's going to stand and draw for what is definitely going to be his final turn now. His last hurrah as he's going to go out. Now, let's see. Will this Blaze of Glory and result in a victory somehow? We don't know, because he's only got 2 rear guards. Vylord being turned off is a really big benefit here, too. No dress boost means no power. And I think he's out of Persona Rise by this point, too, so... Uh-oh. This may be it, ladies and gentlemen. We may have found a winner here. Boss Sagara's skill is still going to activate. Let's see. Okay, going for Diava to give power. Okay, so no, Diava from Hand to Soul. He may go for Diava to give power to front row, or he may go for Hammer in order to try and get rid of a back row, but that would be pointless this stage of the game, so he would likely go for Diava. Wait, Tavashtir? Whoa, Tavashtir is an interesting pick. He's taking it back. He may have just realized his game state. Okay, so he's going to go for Diava, looks like, after all. 5,000 power goes to front row. He still has access to a couple of good cards in hand, potentially. Whatever he drew wasn't a good shield, so it may be a good piece here. But what would it be? What would it be? No dress boost is so tragic right now. Okay, so the arm is going to propagate a revive from the drop zone. What's he going to get, though? He has a lot of options, but he doesn't have a lot of good options here, I fear. Okay, so he's dismissing Ars Arena, which telegraphs that he's going to go for a potential Overdress, I would assume. Going back for Trickstar and Selenity, he may have drawn into an Overdress unit in the hand, which would make sense because he couldn't guard with that for enough, but he can use it as an attacker. But what would be the attacker here, though? If he saw a Bower of Irina, this could be huge, because Bower of Irina actually... He has the Soul Blast potentially to be able to get rid of those units. If he gets rid of units enough, he could go for a singular drive check, because even though he can't twin drive this turn, he could single drive for something. That might be some insane pressure here. Cindy, yep, Cindy's going to provide the soul necessary here. I think I see what he's cooking here in the drop zone. He's still got a Bower of Irina to go into, so Bower of Irina can come back into the hand. With the soul there, Soul Blast a total of 4. Then Bower of Irina is going to get 8,000 power and the ability to perform a drive check for a counter blast. Ooh, it's all coming together, guys. We may have taken him out of going too soon. Okay, now Bower of Irina, Yosogi cross Overdress. Okay, now skill Hatso. Thanks to its skill, he's going to dismiss 2 rear guards. That is huge. This is impressive. Seal's hand is quite big, but it could be duds. We don't know what it looks like, so depending on it all, he may still have the ability to go for game here. This is an impressive last hurrah, might I say. Okay, now, the field has been mostly wiped. With only 1 rear guard remaining, Bower of Irina has achieved his ultimate skill. It is now online, but he still has 1 empty space available to support the non-crossover dress Bower of Irina before heading to battle. Furthermore, one nice benefit is that Outpour can give 5,000 power to a unit in the crossover dress state when she boosts, so that's a little bit of extra power here just to really try and go for it. Examining drop zone, Elementary Sanctitude has already been procced from the Seal side of the field. In addition, we've seen a total of 1 and 2 PGs, so there may not be a 3rd PG in his hand. If it isn't, this could be especially hard to guard. OT is already out as well. Okay, Wings is debating here. What do we got? This is such an exciting game here. I don't think anyone expected just this sheer level of determination from both of these fighters. And yet, at the same time, for the stage Deluxe, should we have expected anything less? Okay, calling down Zone for the final turn. Not the strongest booster, but it makes magic numbers of Bower. Now, Outpour is going to activate skill to grant 5,000 power to unit in the crossover dress state, of which there's only 1 target. Now, Bower of Irina has the ability, counterblasting 1, to get a single drive here. So Bower of Irina is 26. plus 5, which equals 31, plus 8 from the back row, 39, potential 49. It takes 40k shield to completely shut this down, but Seal have it while also safely guarding the other column. Oh, PG comes down. He had it. He had the solution here. Discarding Lumina Wells, there's no Shadow Army tokens remaining, and the drive check is a failure. Oh no. That is absolutely devastating, and thanks to just the massive hands, that is it. It was a worthy try, but as he passes to the Vanguard, he passes the turn, and Seal simply states, "Stand proud, Wings of Fate. You played well. Verily, he was a strong opponent, one worthy of respect to the very end here." The stand and draw for the final turn. Seal's pondering. Energy charging up to 9. Artisaria's skill once more, energy blasting 2 to get another order. This is simply unfortunate. Oh no. Like, it just goes from bad to worse for Wings. With one card left in the deck, he has no hope. He simply loses the deck out, but out of sheer respect for his opponent, Seal won't let it come to that, calling down a full board in order to end Boss Sagada with dignity. The goddess fought a very hard game. She did so well here, being able to implement every means of control and also damage deny in order to stave off the diva, but ultimately, her cries cannot be heard in the silence of space. The inevitability of the lock mechanic and the endless legion of Shadow Army simply overwhelmed our Blaze deity. And with one final harrowing line, Seal goes in for the final attack with the Vanguard. Will Wings accept this attack? He's typing. He states, "You are excellent." And yet he uses Elementaria. To the bitter end, he simply refuses to go down without a fight, discarding Ars Virina. Check 1 is a critical trigger. Check 2 is another critical trigger. My oh my. Artisaria is not just ending Boss Sagada in style, but doing so with absolutely ruthless fashion, leaving absolutely no debate to the victor of this battle. Sealfie saying, "Lumina Well. Catch their Jays." And with no defenses left, Boss Sagada incurs damage. And now, the final damage check. That's game. Well done to both of our deluxe participants. This was a true clash of rivals and equals. Sealfie proved most excellent. Not just showing their mastery with Artisari once again, but also showing that they have the ability to overcome the opposition before them and reach stage 2 without the aid of Boss Sagada and her Blaze deity powers. Most excellent. Wings being able to show off his very utmost capacity to take the things into the grind game, min-max what the opponent was bringing to the table, while also making sure that he maintained a very stable game state. However, in the sheer senescence of time, it appears that the inevitability that is Artisaria overcame the Blaze deity. And with that said, thank you to everyone who came to watch this very epic deluxe feature match. We have a total of 2 more feature matches in this round. So be sure to tune in and check out those feature matches as they upload, because something tells me if you enjoyed this fight, then you're absolutely going to love those fights as well. See you there. And with that said, if you're looking for channel content in the meantime, we do all sorts of Vanguard content, whether it be top 10s, discussions, fight nights, custom card reviews, or anime reactions, and even more, the whole shebang. If you do like what you see, then support the channel by liking, commenting, subscribing, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out the next time we upload. With all that said, take care, God bless, and see you in the next one.